Sexual bullying. What is sexual bullying? Have you ever thought about it? Anyone? Well, let's break it down. According to the Webster's New World Dictionary, sexual, involving sex, the sexes, and or the sex organs. Bully, one whose claim of strength and courage is based on the intimidation of those who are weaker. Or we can easily say that sexual bullying is any action or comment that is intended to hurt, offend, or intimidate another person. The focus is mainly on the person's sexuality, appearance. It also includes spreading rumors of sexual nature. Is enough emphasis being placed on educating our youths? What you should know. Sexual bullying is a social issue that is silently tormenting youths worldwide. It is alive and well, sitting in classrooms next to your child, sister, brother, or friend, waiting for the right opportunity to strike. Despite knowing this, people in today's society are still ignoring it, and as a result, youths are not being educated enough to protect themselves. And so, to prove, highlight, and further prevent this, a survey containing 200 questionnaires were carried out under the topic Sexual Bullying in Schools. The rural areas compared to the city of Georgetown. Is enough emphasis being placed on educating our youths? Out of the 200 questionnaires, which I must say was equally distributed between the city of Georgetown and the rural areas, 40 was done in Cane Grove, 50 in Mahaica, 10 in Coventry, 75 in the University of Guyana, and 35 randomly on the streets of Georgetown, which concluded the survey. And the results, well, are as follows. Gender of the participants. As you can see, in the rural areas, majority of the participants were female, 58% to be exact, while the remaining 42 were male. It was noted that the majority of the males from the rural area refused to fill out the questionnaire upon hearing the topic sexual bullying. They were shy, embarrassed, and some even blushed. Whereas, in the city of Georgetown, majority of the participants were the male, carrying 68%. It was almost surprising how willing and open they were to the topic and how they gladly shared their personal experience. Interesting, don't you agree? Youth's opinion on sexual bullying. It was noted that less than 50% of the youths overall were fully aware of sexual bullying. Hence, they were either unable or found it very difficult to give a reasonable definition of sexual bullying. However, the few that were aware did not hesitate to give an intense description of it. Common words that were used are unwanted touching, inappropriate name calling, forced sex, unacceptable behavior. Is sexual bullying a serious matter? Well, the majority in both areas stated that yes, sexual bullying is a serious matter, but when asked to justify their answer, it was noted that no one could. All that was said was that it is wrong and immoral. Youths who experienced and or witnessed sexual bullying. In the rural areas, 15% of the respondents experienced some type of sexual bullying in their life. 31% witnessed it, while 54% of the respondents in total neither experienced nor witnessed sexual bullying. Yet for all, in the questionnaire, 62% of those same respondents stated that they were either called demeaning names based on their sexuality or appearance, or were forced to do something of sexual nature. Meanwhile, in the city of Georgetown, 19% of the respondents experienced sexual bullying, 25% witnessed it, and the remaining 56% in total neither experienced nor witnessed it, highlighting that overall, the majority of the victims were from the rural areas. Reasons why a student would sexually abuse another. 1. They themselves were victims. They themselves were bullied, harassed, victimized, but were never given the care and support they needed to heal. And as a result, they abused others. Because of influence. In today's society, majority of the programs we see on TV are filled with violence. The music we listen to are filled with demeaning lyrics. And who are some of the people our youths look up to? Gangsters, corrupt peers, movie stars, etc. Because of the way the student dressed or act, poor parental guidance. It is believed by many that the bully's behavior is learned. It is nurtured and not nature. Hence, the parents are responsible to an extent. A form of rebelling. In other words, the bully's behavior is actually a cry for help and attention to prove their manhood. Interesting. This is where some young men try to get intimate with young women to prove they're real man. Because according to them, and I quote, it takes a real man to touch a woman. 8. Peer pressure. 9. For pleasure and fun. In other words, to satisfy their basic needs and want for sex. 10. To express love. This is where the bully is in a serious relationship with the victim. He has no self-control, hence refuses to accept no for the answer. 11. Because of lack of education. They're not aware that what they're doing is wrong and how badly it affects the other person. To be respected by friends and for fame. They have low self-esteem and self-confidence, so they abuse others to feel good about themselves. And of course, raging hormones. Well, let's just blame that one on puberty. The effects sexual bullying has on its victim. Sexual bullying affects its victims in numerous ways. It affects them academically as well as emotionally. They tend to feel ashamed, hurt, used, and suicidal. Most become depressed. This experience shatters their self-esteem and self-confidence, which leaves them feeling angry, helpless, worthless, and even violated. They become afraid of the opposite sex and feel insecure. They isolate themselves from others and may develop major trust issues. It also affects them physically in some cases. Some are traumatized for life, while others may like it. But in the end, they themselves may become abusers. Next, and this question goes for all those youths here today who will be going back to school come September. Is sexual bullying being dealt with in school? Can you please show your answer with the raise of a hand? With all those who say no. Sexual bullying is not being dealt with at school. Okay.
Raise your hand all the way up if you say yes.
If you say no.
If you say no. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Well, this is what I got from the survey. Majority of the respondents in both areas said that no, sexual bullying is not being dealt with in school. It is not being given the importance it deserves. Youth's opinion on what more should be done to prevent sexual bullying. More education should be taught on this topic. There should be more awareness program in place to sensitize youths. Counseling sessions should be provided for both the victim and the bully. Stricter rules should be made Stricter rules should be put in place and sanctions should be made so as to have harder penalties for offenders. Moral education should be taught in schools. Schools should also develop a special committee to deal with these social issues. Is enough emphasis being placed on sexual bullying? In the rural areas, 51% of the respondents said yes, while 49% said no. Whereas in the city of Georgetown, 69% of the respondents said no, and the remaining 31% said yes. Overall, the majority of the respondents, 60% to be exact, stated that no, enough emphasis is not being placed on sexual bullying. OMG. And for you older folks, it means, oh my God. It is very easy for a youth to become a victim of sexual bullying. So here are some helpful signs for parents of teens to look for, that may indicate that their teenager might be a victim of sexual bullying. Coming home from school with damaged or missing books, clothes, or other possessions. Having unexplained cuts and bruises. Isolating themselves from friends and family members. Seeming afraid of going to school, whether by walking, riding, or taking the bus. Lacking interest in schoolwork, or having failing grades. Complaining often of headaches, stomach aches, or other physical problems so as to avoid going to school. Having trouble sleeping or suffering from bad dreams. Lacking an appetite. But bear in mind, it does not stop there just by highlighting that your teen is suffering from bullying. You need to take an active stand and intervene so as to prevent or stop the problem from going any farther. Everyone should take an active stand against bullying, including parents, teachers, school administrators, and the teens themselves. So here are some tips on how to prevent teen bullying. If teens see an act of bullying in school, they should immediately report it to a teacher or another responsible adult at the school. Parents should encourage their own teens to notify them immediately if they themselves become victims of bullying. Parents should alert their teens about the harmful effects of bullying and encourage them to be kind and understanding to others, regardless of the difference that may exist between them. Teens should step forward and speak up for a friend that is being bullied. They should let others know that bullying their friends will not be accepted and will be reported. Keep the line of communication open, Regular communication between the parent and teen about the topic of bullying will make it more comfortable for teens to speak out about bullying. Schools should create policies to hold bullies accountable for their actions. Okay. On a more personal note, carrying out this survey was one of the most challenging and life-changing things I've ever done. It was amazing. I was able to look at life through the eyes of others. But to be honest, at some point, I was a bit ashamed of what I saw. I saw innocent children and young adults silently suffering because we choose to turn a deaf ear to their cries for help and attention. Young men and women are forced to endure abuse and bullying because they're either ashamed or afraid of speaking out. And what was even more outrageous is how everyone accepted it as a norm. Traditions and cultures are being misused to intimidate and control youths as well as adults. Our young women and future mothers are being confined to homes and chores, regardless of their dreams and abilities. Especially in the rural areas, where opportunities are limited, and the majority of the schools are not equipped to handle these social issues. And they don't have a guidance counselor So you tell me, how do they intend to handle traumatized and abused youths? How do they plan to break the cycle? We have truly lost sight of the line that separates healthy discipline from abuse, appropriate behavior from inappropriate. We need to open more dialogues and be more aware. We need to place more emphasis on educating our youths. And it was only thanks to IMRAC that I was able to express myself in such a way. Speaking of which, I must say that this presentation was independently done, but however, information was gathered from www.bullyingstatistics.com. Thank you.